I'm here with the Reverend Paul Cowley, MBE, and author of this book, Thief, Prisoner, Soldier, Thief, Prisoner, Soldier, Priest. And that is what you are, Paul. Paul, just for people who don't know you and don't know your story, it's all here, but can you give us like the 2-minute version of this book, your story?
Nicky, thank you. I'll try. Born in the north of England, dysfunctional parents, both alcoholics. At 16, really, two things happened. I was expelled from school, and also I got into an argument with my father, and he threw me out onto the streets. I bummed around on the streets for a while, got in trouble, moved in a squat with a gang, which led me to crime. I wasn't very good at it, got caught by the police, bound over to keep the peace, magistrates, fines, and eventually prison. I went to a prison in between Liverpool and Manchester called Risley, nicknamed Grizzly Risley. Came out of there, tried to stay out of trouble, worked in a bar, drove a truck, and then I saw a poster for the army, and I joined up at age 21, and I spent the next nearly 17 years in the military. Tours of Northern Ireland, the Falklands, 5 different regiments, various things. It was really exciting. Came out on posting as a staff sergeant from the Army Physical Training Corps. And then moved in with my girlfriend, tried to keep out of trouble. And then a friend of mine, ex-military person, had become a Christian, which was a massive surprise because I grew up an atheist. And he said to me, do you know what, Paul, you got lots of questions. Maybe you should try this thing called Alpha.
And what happened then?
Well, I went on the Alpha course. I went on it with my girlfriend, Amanda, and I really felt awkward at first. I felt really out of place with my background. I didn't think there was anybody in that small group that was like me. So I was very uncomfortable. Some of the questions in the talk were difficult for me to understand, but I stayed there because of the group, actually, because they were fun. And they just loved me unconditionally with all my sort of silly questions. They said, no, they're brilliant questions. And on a part of the course where you learn about the Holy Spirit, you go away for a day or so. And it was there that I was, I met with God and found out about his son, Jesus. And it was overwhelming for me, the unconditional love with my background and everything, that he would accept someone like me. And it still is.
And since then, you've gone on to sort of pioneer Alpha in the prisons. Just say a bit about that.
When I became a Christian on that course, got involved with the church, Holy Trinity Brompton, joined a home group. And one of the pastoral staff, a lady called Emmy Wilson, suggested that I come on a prison visit with her, which I didn't want to, but she's very persuasive. And I did, and I went to Dartmoor prison, and it was there that I felt God say to me, I've got a job for you. And after a few weeks of thinking and pondering, I thought, wouldn't it be good if we could take this Alpha course that I enjoyed into the prison system for men and women, but mostly men like me, that they could understand God. And in 97, I came on staff at Holy Trinity Brompton to really establish and grow the Alpha course in the prison system.
And now it's in prisons like all across the world. And I think 60,000 men and women did Alpha in prison this year.
Yeah, it's extraordinary. It's grown through the help of volunteers and some amazing people who's helped run the course, and chaplains in the prison system. And yeah, I think it's in a really high percentage of the prisons in the UK. And through Alpha, growing around the world, and the prison systems getting involved, it's started now in 50, 60, 70 countries around the world, prison systems.
And then looking after them when they come out, I know that's part of your vision, caring for ex-offenders. And you got given the MBE, the heir to the throne, handed you the MBE.
Yes, Prince Charles. It was a great honor to meet him.
And for you, Paul, personally, your faith, because you were brought up in, I know you've talked about, it was hard to trust because of your experiences at home and in relationships and so on. How is that? How have you developed? How are you able to trust God now after all the sort of lack of trust in your childhood?
Well, it's taken a long time. You're right, Nikki. The trust was knocked out of me as a kid, and then as a teenager and as a young man. That's hence I got into quite a lot of trouble. Never really trusting anyone. My father said everyone's going to move away from you, so you might as well not bother with them. And I had that in my head for a long time, and I struggled during the Alpha course, and even after committing my life to Christ, to trusting people. But God has been so gracious by putting people around me that haven't hurt me, haven't moved away from me. I've dealt with me when I've been difficult at times. I've not run away, and that's been extraordinary. When I've tried to push them away, and I think really I've tried to push God away quite a few times, but He won't leave. He will not leave me. He helped me.
And also that in your relationship, I mean, you've now sustained a marriage to Amanda for how many years is it? You should know instantly.
30 years.
30 years. But I'm just calculating because you came on Alpha in 93, and I think you got married after that, didn't you?
No, you're better at my anniversaries than I am. I'm so sorry. No, we've been together 30 years. We've been married 25 years.
25 years. Amazing.
That's extraordinary to be able to stay in that relationship.
Because before that, it wasn't so easy, was it?
No, my fault completely. I sabotaged the relationship. So, as you know, I've been married and divorced twice, and my fault completely. Just not being able to handle the responsibilities. But
your faith in Jesus has, you can see the transformation, because I've known you from when you first came on Alpha. But it's amazing to see that you got married to Amanda, you've sustained that marriage all these years, and then of course seeing your children.
I know God is we have a God of reconciliation. I mean, not many people know, but I left my son for my first marriage when he was 3, and I didn't really bother or see him again for a long time. And when I became a Christian, people prayed that we might be reconciled together. And I said, I don't think that's going to work, really. He doesn't want me back. And you know what Christians are like. They're persistent and they pray. And at the age of 16, me and Clinton were reunited, which was, again, extraordinary to have that happen. It's a long story, but he's now 41 and we speak to each other every day. There's not a piece of paper between us. And God is very gracious by giving me back again. And I've got a daughter, Phoebe, who's 22. So it's been extraordinary. I think, again, in the Bible, it says something about God will restore the years that the locusts have eaten. And I never understood that, but I do now.
Just say a bit about what your vision is for the prisons and for the people in prison.
Well, the idea is to try and bring, I think it's in Proverbs where it says, hope deferred makes the heart sick. And I think I've worked with quite a few people who find themselves in hopeless situations. So with the Alpha course, and lots of other courses in the prison systems, of course are, but the Alpha course and the men going on them, it's been extraordinary, the hope that I see in people's faces now, that men, and that was part of the idea of writing the books, which you very kindly just shown. The idea was to bring hope to people in a hopeless situation. And then when they come out, the idea is to try and help them, meet them at the gate, which was an idea from William Booth, the founder of the Salvation Army, is to meet them at the gate and help them and mentor them into a community, a church, where they can start to thrive. And we've seen that happening within HTB and on the different sites. So at Delgado, the new site that we got, working with Joe and Sarah and Claude and all the team up there, it's very close to Wormwood Scrubs, big London prison.
And it's very close to Grenfell Tower as well, isn't it?
Yeah, St. Francis, HTB Delgado, is in between Wormwood Scrubs, actually, and the Grenfell Tower. It's in the middle of an estate there called the Delgado Estate. But it's very close to the prison. So we've been able to go into the prison, run an Alpha course in there in the chapel. And then what's extraordinary is to see the men on the wings who may be anti-God. They don't understand the concept of faith or don't want it. To come into the chapel, to sit through an Alpha course, to get to know the volunteers And then amazingly, we've met them at the gate and brought them into Delgado, into the church.
You're the minister in charge there, aren't you? And you're leading that church.
Looking after that church with a team, with Joe and Sarah and different people. So we've brought them in, we've met them at the gate, and that vision you talked about, it's extraordinary to see it happening. So we saw them on the wings, we saw them in the chapel, we saw them on Alpha Course. They've given their life to Christ, and now on a Sunday before lockdown, they were at the back of the church with their hands raised, or they were serving at the cafe, putting the chairs out. Extraordinarily how they want to be involved in community, that connection.
Well, Paul, thank you so much. And if you have not got a copy of this book, Thief, Prisoner, Soldier, Priest, is going into every, someone has given some money, haven't they, so that 50 copies of this can go into every prison, and hopefully every person in prison will get the opportunity to hear Paul's story, which is an amazing story. So Paul, thank you so much for being with us. God bless.
Thank you, Nikki.